everybody, to what Bridget is worried might be a boring episode of A More Perfect Plate. To be honest with you, it's a concern of mine too, but I promise if you stick around, you will find out that this is not a boring episode.
What an intro.
I think honesty is the best policy. That's what we tell our kids, right?
I read the outline and was like, there's got to be something up Nick's sleeve. So stay tuned. We'll be learning together.
Today, we are talking about the American farm, the source of all of our food that is not coming from China, because obviously there's farms in other places, but the American farm is what we are talking about today.
And listen, I'm excited to learn about it as always, because I deeply believe that we need to go back to this farming way of life, right? Like we have a lot of friends that are farmers. We know what's happening in the world with farmers. So let's hear more about it.
So interesting you should say it that way, because as I was planning this episode, I wanted to have some through lines of how things have changed and talk about if that's good or bad or better or worse. And it turns out it's really just different. If you read the full dispatch for this week, you'll see there's a lot of kind of complicated things of like, this was good, this is bad. And I think the way we're going to present this is going to be pretty fun, because you'll get to hear about what you said about getting back to the farm, knowing your farmers, the good things about that. And then you'll also hear about how the incredible technological entrepreneurial progress the American farmers made is just an outstanding thing that is really hard to comprehend. So I have some stats that aren't like, you know, an OPS stat in baseball that no one's really sure what that means. But it's more of like how many mouths were fed by one farmer for a while and how many people were farmers until they are now. So hopefully we can have a little bit of context. But first, this week's drink.
Yeah. What is it?
This is called a switchel.
Switchel. And where does a switchel come from?
It is also known as a haymakers punch. This is a non-alcoholic cocktail of sorts.
Good.
That is water, apple cider vinegar, and then in this one, it's honey. People use molasses. People use syrup, kind of whatever sweetener's available to you.
Okay.
And this was a type of punch that was given out to people working on farms in the 18th, 19th century.
What are the ingredients again? Honey, apple cider vinegar, and water?
Yep.
That's
with
it?
Just a little bit of ginger in there for
so
flavoring.
Like it feels like a pre-lemonade lemonade.
Yeah, it's there's a little lemon in there too. People add lemon. So it's just a way to make water safe when, you know, the drinking supply wasn't always whatever, and a nice little summer refresher.
Yeah, look at these very festive cups you have here.
Yes, my mother got me some bicentennial cups.
Yeah, nice.
So we have these.
All right, cheers. This looks really refreshing.
Oh, that's very tasty.
Yeah, that is great.
This is actually making a comeback as a non-alcoholic cocktail. You can buy it.
Great.
Because the people, you know, the apple cider vinegar is good for your health. Mm-hmm. So originally it was added to, you know, kill pathogens and water, but now it's good for your gut.
It tastes like a lollipop, like a very familiar sucker I had as a kid, like a Dum Dum, like a very basic lollipop of some sort. Maybe that's not right, but it's a very familiar taste.
Our recipe is 4 cups of water, 1/3 cup of honey, and in an early Ron mention, this honey comes from his nephews. It is Henningfeld Farm honey. So honey, you could also use maple syrup. You could use molasses, any type of sweetener. 1/3 cup of apple cider vinegar, and then a dash of lemon juice and a dash of, ideally you use fresh ginger to grate a little bit in, but I didn't have that, so just a dash of ground ginger.
Okay, that was not me typing out the recipe as you said it, because this will be great to have over the hot weekend.
The switchel.
The switchel. Okay.
What we're going to do, what we did in this dispatch and what we're going to talk about here is the evolution of the American farm through some farm families, because we could just talk about the numbers or the technological parts, but the people are what's interesting.
Yep.
So in American Girl doll fashion,
I should have brought my American Girl dolls.
I have invented some families that lived at various times and places in American farming history.
I was going to ask, like, how did you find these families?
They are all composites.
Really funny.
Think of this as a Monet painting, not not a Da Vinci, right? This is not meant to be completely correct. It's meant to give you evoke the sense of scene. It's impressionism. So our first family are the Wheelers, and they live in Connecticut in the 1750s. The Wheelers, it's mom, pop, 7 kids, originally 21, but they're down to 7. Childhood mortality, Not great. Not great.
Well, you know, they had to work on the farm.
They had to work on the farm. They needed more farm workers.
Okay.
And the Wheelers were living on the farm as their only way of being alive. They fed just themselves.
Okay.
9 out of 10 people in America were farmers in the 1750s. They had about a 250-acre farm, but only maybe 40 to 50 acres of it was farmed. The rest was woodlands that they used for timber, fuel, let the pigs run wild in there to harvest later. Had a little apple orchard, made hard cider out of it. Again, water wasn't safe to drink. You can't drink switchel all the time. You want to have maybe some apple cider.
Well, put it in your switchel.
And that's what they did. They made butter at home. The women did that.
Okay. Were we not selling any goods yet?
They didn't really have enough to sell. They would trade a little bit extra to the town general store guy, take that trip into town, get things they couldn't make, nails for their whatever, barrels to put their hams in, a little bit of salt, for
Nails
instance.
for whatever.
But most of what they did, that all went to themselves. So we're at a farmer to mouth ratio.
Okay, farmer to
About
human.
1.05.
Okay, great.
One farmer could feed 1.05 families.
I have a very modern day farming mention, but I'm just waiting of where to work it in. I thought it was right here, but I might wait for one more minute. Stand by.
We're gonna take a jump forward about 55 years. America's independent now.
Okay.
We're gonna leave the 13 original colonies, Connecticut, and we're gonna go to Ohio.
Ohio.
We're gonna meet the McKees. The McKees, well, they have got free land.
Ooh.
Free land.
Jealous of that.
The Northwest Ordinance said everybody can get free land. 6 square mile townships, no slavery in the new lands. It's great. And the McKees, they moved to Ohio, the West, for opportunity. Can you imagine Ohio, the land of opportunity?
And Ohio being the West.
Everybody's like, the Midwest is not the Midwest. It's more the Mideast. Well, because, until
It currently is the Midwest.
1860, it was the West. So now it's the middle of the West.
Which makes sense. So
We didn't know how big America was, folks. Lewis and Clark hadn't set out yet. Well, they actually did set out by 1805, but they weren't back. So we didn't know. We didn't know.
Do we need to make... Okay, never mind. Going down a path of making T-shirts. Okay.
The thing I thought was very interesting, we talked about how our previous family, the Wheelers, a lot of their 250 acres was woodlands they didn't use. Well, the McKees, they got something cool called girdling.
Girdled?
Girdling.
Help me understand.
So they found out that they could take a tree, kill the bark, so like pull all the cork off, all the bark off.
Okay.
It would kill the tree, then they'd plant corn around it and light the tree on fire.
Why?
The tree would fall, the ashes would fertilize the corn for better corn output, and then they could make potash out of it, which is a fertilizer that is still very important to this day. And they could sell that potash. So to your question about who's selling stuff, by the early 1800s, the farmers were figuring out ways to make fertilizer out of their trees, sell it off.
How are we figuring out that if we just happen to peel the bark off this tree and burn it down, how do you... I think farmers back then are smarter people than us.
I feel like at some point somebody had a forest fire go through, and they're like, "Wow, all
look
this
at
stuff,
that land.
yeah,
This is fertile.
This is growing. This is fertile land."
I'll put some corn here.
And then they're like, "Wow!" And then they probably try to do it on purpose, and it worked. And because people were nice back in the day, they told their neighbors. Now we would call that proprietary.
Yeah, people were nice back in the day, and look at how smart they were.
So while the McKees have figured out how to make their own fertilizer, we still only have just a small surplus. You're still 1805. You're not quite subsistence.
I'm sorry. We're selling fertilizer, but not corn yet.
A little bit of corn.
Okay.
Can go out, but a lot of that you're starting to still use for your livestock.
Yep.
We're still at about farmers being about 9 out of 10 Americans according to the census.
Okay.
About 7 acres per year if you're working real hard of timberland you could clear.
Okay.
So, you're working hard.
Yep.
Now we're going to get to the elephant in the room. We're going to tell the story of 2 Virginia families in 1850, the Hatchers and the Braxtons.
I still can't get over that you made these families up. And I read this and was like, wow, he's really got a lot of details on these families.
We all know what happened in the 1860s in America, or at least we all should. There was a civil war, and it was fought to end slavery, among what people will say other reasons are, but it was fought to end slavery. And we picture all of these boys in gray fighting for their stats rats to have slavery. And we think they all fought to protect their own slaves. But it is important to note that 2 out of 3 Southern families did not have any enslaved people.
Really?
2 out of 3, no enslaved people. And
the 99% though?
Yeah, and the slavers, the slave-holding people, 90% of them had fewer than 20 people. So it was this really concentrated thing, but they had all the wealth.
Yeah, I was
they
like
had all the
rich
political
people.
power.
Yep.
So
weird.
The Hatchers, it's a tale as old as time.
Yes, it is.
They are basically living exactly like our first family, the Wheelers.
Okay.
Virginia in the 1850s, they had cash crop tobacco so hard that a lot of the soil nutrients were gone. And the Hatchers were just themselves trying to eke out a living.
Yep. Okay.
Soil was poor, growing their own crops.
Should have burned their trees.
Yeah. living in poverty. The soil's been used up, and you got the Braxtons on the other hand. Mm-hmm. And they own many slaves. They have about 50 slaves. They got a tobacco plantation, but they are facing a problem that farmers still face to this day.
Drought?
The crops, they had torn out the soil. They didn't have enough fertilizer. And instead of growing tobacco for cash crop, they need to start looking at growing corn and wheat.
Oh.
Do you know what you don't need to grow corn and wheat? Slaves.
Why?
It's a much less labor-intensive process.
Oh.
Down south,
I still feel like you could probably. Well,
down
I don't
south,
need as many.
the cotton plantations needed slaves.
Yeah.
So all of these enslaved people were facing the fact that their bosses, who, while slave owning is horrible, still felt the need to keep their economic fortune going and had to decide, what plants should I put on my farm?
Oh.
And should I invest in new machines? And for them, the machines were, of course, people. Which is terrible.
Oh, that is terrible.
So a lot of these Virginia plantations were selling their slaves down south.
Oh, boy.
So the saying, sold down south or sold down the river, that comes from these plantations in the northern south, the middle south, that were by the 1850s saying, we don't need as many enslaved people. We have machines. We have less labor-intensive crops.
Yeah.
And selling these people literally down the river to worst conditions.
Oh, my God. Did they go, but they went back to tobacco farming?
They basically stopped. It's the Carolinas now that are doing that.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
And now we have fertilizer that makes up for
now
a lot
it's
of
different,
that.
Understood. Okay.
But I thought that was interesting because obviously with acknowledging how horrible slavery is, it's still this very real choice that farmers have today of your farm grew this crop forever. It got you to your size. It got you to your, I don't want to say power, but prestige, whatever place in your community. And so these people, as horrible as they were, farming's still the same. I thought it was like an interesting touch point. And when we get to today, there's still the Hatchers and the Braxtons, where there's still 2 sides of farming and there's 2 scales of farming. That tale never changes.
It's also an interesting, I don't need to veer too far off track, study of humans versus machines, and humans as machines in this case. So I guess in a way, if slavery went completely away, and it did, obviously, but I'm saying if they weren't just being sold down the river in this case, hey, great, a machine could do the job that these people were doing. And I would say that's a good thing. And we don't need more people dying in the heat because of their oppressive labor. So just a study of the world is not ending when technology comes around. There are some studies of it happening in a good way. Just ignore the fact that they just got put in worse conditions.
Ignore that fact. But again, it's one of those interesting...
It's just like a different way to look at it. Yeah.
Let's now meet the Bergs.
The Bergs.
The Bergs. They are immigrants to Nebraska in 1875. They came seeking better economic opportunity.
In Nebraska.
The Homestead Act of 1862 gave you 160 acres for free.
Oh, my God.
All you had to do was live there for 5 years and improve your land. That's all you had to do.
Okay.
Easy, right?
If you didn't, was your land just taken away?
Yep, your land was taken away.
Okay.
Nebraska, no trees. So, these people, a lot of them
Really
came
hot.
from Scandinavia. A lot of them came from Germany. And they didn't understand why there were no trees. So they built soddies.
Soddies. Tell me more.
A sod house. You may have seen it in Little House on the Prairie, where you
don't watch that.
dig down. You use soil to build yourself a house.
Yep.
It's cool in the
Keeps
summer.
it cool,
It's
yeah.
warm in the winter. And they started doing a little bit better. By this point, you had some better plows. You didn't have to pay for your land.
Yeah.
By this point, we're only at about half of Americans farming.
Okay.
Because with more productivity for the animals being more available, with iron plows being a little bit more available, more farmers or fewer farmers could feed more people.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't easy. People started doing wheat. People started concentrating crops and really taking advantage of this very fertile soil in the Midwest. But then tragedy struck.
What happened?
Albert's swarm came in 1875. Guess what Albert's swarm was?
Sounds like an infestation of
Locusts.
bugs.
Locusts everywhere, like the pharaohs.
I
Locusts.
remember learning about this and being so disgusted.
The swarm was 198,000 square miles of locusts eating literally everything. That is larger than California.
Oh my God.
This is not exaggeration. This is actual, because of the telegraph lines, people were able to say, okay, there is here, there's here, there's here, there's here. And they calculated at 198,000 square miles.
Okay, maybe I'm being dramatic, but does it feel like the cicadas of a few years ago?
But worse.
I know, way worse. But that's what I think of all the time.
We ended up killing these locusts by basically plowing up the riverbanks where they bred in.
Gross.
So good job, farmers. You had your payback. But even though people got all this free land, it was still lonely for people. You have all these 250-acre things. The women in particular who were stuck at home doing all of the domestic labor.
The original trad wife.
Yeah, the original trad wife.
Now it's
was lonely.
cool to be a trad wife.
It's just you and your kids. Very few social opportunities. Maybe go
That
town.
is sad.
But about 40% of the homesteads were fails.
Why?
They couldn't make it 5 years.
They just couldn't improve their land?
Yep, they couldn't stick it out farming, so they packed up and moved
I couldn't stick it out farming.
town or whatever. So even though you get the free land, 40% of them.
That's a bummer. Think of what that land would be worth today.
No kidding.
Oh, man. Okay. Also, though, I would have moved to town. Put me in a condo.
Let's get close to home now.
Yeah. Okay.
We have the Hoffmans.
When I read the outline, I was like, gosh, I don't know that farm family in Wisconsin. I feel like I would have heard of that.
It is Wisconsin in the 1900s, and we are starting to see big innovation. For years, farming was pretty much the same. But now, Wisconsin, from the 1860s to about 1900, 1890, was America's breadbasket. We grew wheat, not soybeans, not corn, wheat. We grew about a sixth of all of the wheat in the world at that time. We were the breadbasket. We were known as the breadbasket state, not the dairy state.
Oh, man.
But we took up all those valuable, great topsoils, repleted it, overfarmed it. So instead, we pivoted to dairy cows.
And look at us now.
We had two great men, the great men style of history. But these people are great. William Dempster Horde, he started the Wisconsin Dairymen's Association and Horde's Dairymen.
Yep.
And if you've not known, this is a magazine dedicated to best practices in dairy.
I was like, I know this name.
They have a creamery now that you can buy Horde's Dairyman cheese. They make a fantastic Port-Salut style cheese.
What's that?
It's called Bel Air. It's a French style cheese. It's a kind of mild, semi-soft cheese. It's very delicious.
Okay.
I like it. They make a dry jack. They make a camembert style. Actually, don't they make? No, they make a camembert style cheese.
I'm veering off the outline.
Lots of cheeses. So this guy kind of said like, hey, this is how we're going to do it. And then we had Stephen Babcock in 1890. He figured out how to test butterfat in milk. And for centuries, nobody knew how good the milk was. So he figured out how to test the butterfat content, and that became a measure that was used for milk so that farmers couldn't sell watered down milk. Everybody knew what they were getting. between the hordes, dairymen, raising the standards. Stephen Babcock, who's now got Babcock Hall, where Ron attended.
You got to know Babcock, right?
Get the ice cream there, get the cheese there.
Yep.
They really professionalized dairy production in Wisconsin. And all over, we had these land-grant universities that were professionalizing agriculture, doing scientific research. And because these universities were state-run, chartered to help farmers, help industries, help miners, they were passing all of this information on. So we started getting more information about fertilizer, crossbreeding, all the science started entering.
We were still nice then.
Yes, the science started entering the room.
Okay.
And like Stephen Babcock, he didn't patent the milk fat test. Today, that would have been patented and we would have been,
big time.
So,
and his ice cream is still delicious. I mean, the ice cream served there.
By the 1900 exactly,
okay,
a farm was starting to really export some products. You're feeding yourself, and you could put some dairy out for your region. You could put some, if you're a crop farmer, you could sell some stuff, railroad send it somewhere. You started to doing okay. You weren't rich, but you were, doing okay. You weren't working a factory. You were doing honest work outside. About 40% of Americans, somewhere between 38 and 40%, we're getting more specific numbers from the census now, we're still farming. Of course, twice a day, 365 days, you're out there with the cows. And by 1899, a Wisconsin survey found more than 90% of Wisconsin farms had dairy cows.
90%.
90%.
This is maybe dumb. Where are they getting them from? Buying them from buying them from the OG farm?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you just go buy a little baby cow.
Yeah, just one though. Oh, so like we're talking like when we say 90% of farms, you could have one cow and you count. I'm thinking of farms today who got 9 million.
As late as 1960, the average Wisconsin herd was 27 cows.
Yeah, okay, so that's
a lot of small cow herds. But I mean, a lot of people buy, a couple cows, then put your cows together.
I actually think that's pretty big for 1960, I guess over 60 years. Wait, when was that stat of more than 40%?
1900.
Okay, so over 60 years.
Yep.
Okay, all right. Here we are. I was tempted to do We're Back, which was a dinner plus drinks thing, so I did it.
We are back with so much innovation.
So much. Everyone has cows.
We are now at the Myers. It is Kansas. It is 1940. There is something happening. But we're not going to focus on that. No.
We're ignoring that, actually.
We're going to focus on what happened in the 30s because this is what really started changing farm life in America. Mm-hmm. First, we got the Rural Electrification Act that gives people, I don't want to say free electricity, you have to pay for it, but you have to pay for the line to run to your house. You get lights.
Just lights.
Electric lights.
Okay.
So now you can, you don't have to go to bed when it's dark outside.
But you're paying for your electricity.
You're paying for your electricity.
Yeah. Okay,
but, you
great.
didn't have to pay the $1,000 to get it installed.
That's great. Okay.
You have electric milking machines.
Yeah. Big difference.
You have a refrigerator.
Oh, yeah.
You have a radio, so you're not as lonely being out in the farmhouse. The tractor has overtaken the horse finally.
Yep.
A day's work that once took a team a week could be done just in that day because of your tractor.
That's a lot. Yeah.
We have hybrid seed corn. We have synthetic fertilizer. Yields are going up. It's golden. Our corn's gonna be golden.
Oh boy.
For decades, corn was 40 bushels an acre, and now it just starts climbing. And who knows? It'll never stop.
Clearly.
But with all of these innovations, you needed less people on the farm.
Yeah.
So the farm people start leaving.
Okay, way to just take back my technology comment from earlier.
You don't need as many kids anymore. You had a lot of kids, but now, there's not a place for them on farm. Some kids like that because they I don't want to do this.
Yeah, maybe your kids could go get educated elsewhere.
Some people are sad. Or maybe they could go join the army and fight Hitler.
Yeah, okay.
Because fighting Nazis is important.
Well, but, so is education.
They're all happy about these great changes, but there's also a horrible thing in the 30s. There was the Great Dust Bowl.
Yep.
If you read The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck, a
few years ago,
many, many people had to leave their farms because they had no more topsoil because we had destroyed it, as had happened in Virginia with the tobacco farming, as we did in Wisconsin with our wheat farming. we had exhausted the soil's resources. And this is when we start realizing conservation is important, folks.
I don't think, have we realized that?
Farmers have. I mean, farmers are actually
I'm kidding.
very good at this. This is really like when you start seeing the huge changes. The 30s, the electrification, the tractors, the hybridization of corn. Now, one farmer is feeding 20 people. And remember, that was like a very small number in the 1900s. Only 1 in 7 Americans are farming.
Dun, dun, dun.
There's one more thing here that I
but I don't know.
So yes, you go very rapidly from 40% of Americans farming in 1900 to 16% in 1940. That's where you start seeing the massive drop.
Yep.
And now...
So less and less farms?
Less and less farms, bigger farms, less people farming, all of it.
Those poor 27 herd cows are getting sold right back, aren't they?
They're getting sold back. And now we are into 2026 in Iowa.
Present day.
We have the Johnsons and the Smiths.
Those are real Midwestern names, right?
Real people. You got the Smiths who are living the bougie farm life.
Yeah.
They got GPS guided planting and harvesting equipment. It is precision down to the inch. The tractor drives itself. It knows where the wet spots are. It plants different seed types that are more tolerant for moisture. You get yields that farmers could never imagine. The total farm output has tripled since 1948, and the labor has fallen 76%.
Automated milking.
Automated milking.
I used to love scraping the stalls. Isn't that weird at my friend's house? That's what
weird.
I like
That's
to
gross.
do. I'm sure that's automated, but like I used to love doing that with my friends as a kid.
These guys are farming thousands of acres with machines that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. The money that is on farms, I don't think people realize. I mean, particularly this type of farm. I feel like in general, if you're not from the Midwest and like you come here and you tour a farm for fun, like there's this place in Indiana that you can go like get on a bus and like go tour a local farm. I think people think it's just this like hokey Midwestern thing. I'm like, do you have any idea the investment? Like this is a massive corporation. If you think of it, you know, when you look at the dollars that are in it. So that's all.
These guys, they're not know your farmer guys. They're selling thousands and thousands and thousands of bushels to a grain storage area that then goes to General Mills, that then gets made into cereal that you then buy. You're not buying grain from them. You're buying it 7 steps down the road, but they're still feeding you. It's easy to forget that. And like you said, the amount of money... it's
investment
not like
in these
a
places.
cash-rich industry.
Correct.
You got a lot of assets and a lot of debt.
Yes.
But what you can do is unheard of. And then on the other side, you have our other family, the Johnsons.
Yeah.
And these are some people that grew up on a farm and loved farming. They liked the land. They liked feeding people. But when their parents retired, they had to sell the farm because that was their retirement policy, and it was worth a lot of money to someone, maybe for housing, maybe for a big farmer. And so they weren't able to afford to buy it. They went and got other jobs. But now they're back.
They're back.
As Know Your Farmer has gotten popular as community supported agriculture. The first one was in 1986, which seems like...
It's what?
Community supported agriculture, which is 40 years ago, which, you know, seems closer than 40 years ago.
Yeah.
But this is like... You know, farmers markets really went out of style, and now they're back. So the Smiths have a little farmette. They have
the Johnsons.
Oh, it's actually the Johnsons. Thank you. They're not going to feed everybody in America, but they're probably losing money on their farm because it's not super profitable to make some tomatoes and some lettuce and some carrots to sell at the farmer's market.
Yeah, but they're feeding themselves.
Yep.
They're supporting their community, which seems important to them.
And they are that counterweight to consolidation. The people, you can watch all the like huge YouTube videos about the big tomato plants or farms in California. It's incredible what they do. And they really do care about making great tomatoes. But also they only kind of grow one tomato.
Yeah.
And they do it for kind of one process. But there's lots of great tomatoes.
Is there, do you think, a level of respect between like the Johnsons and the Smiths, or do they not love each other?
I think there's a lot of respect. I think people.
I'd like to think that too, but I didn't know if it was like, you big thing, and I don't know.
You need that counterbalance, and what
agree.
the one place can do, the other place can't.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of two faces of American agriculture today. We're down to under 2% of Americans being farming people, and a lot of the people that farm, it's one of the jobs they have.
Yeah.
Because they can't make enough money just farming.
That's
but
so sad.
They love doing it. One farmer feeds about 183 people per year. And that's a very rough number because a lot of the farm products we make go to ethanol, to plastics, go to things other than feeding humans. Animal feed is a huge thing we do. The average United States farm, there's about 1.88 million farms left in America. The average size is 466 acres.
Okay.
And that is obviously a mean statistic, not a median. So it's a very skewed because there's huge 10,000 acre farms and 2 acre farms.
Are those farms centrally located for the majority?
A lot of them are, are very centrally located in the Midwest. And the thing that we really should celebrate about all of this technological progress is that in 1960, Americans spent about 17% of their income on food. Today, it's well under 10%.
Really?
We have been spoiled with cheap food because of the abundance of land in America and the ingenuity, progress, and hard work of the American farmer.
Do you find yourself, do you have a garden here? Do you grow any veggies?
We don't grow vegetables anymore. We used to grow tomatoes because I love tomatoes. And the problem here is there are too many animals that also like tomatoes.
Oh, yes.
And I would have to put so much work into keeping them out.
It's, as we've gone through watching grocery prices be pretty crazy up and down over the last, 6 years. Let's just say since COVID, okay, to be generous here. My mother-in-law is a great gardener, and I'm like, oh, it's just too much work. I'm with you. Like, I can't, and then animals eat it, and no way. But she just came over one year and planted some veggies, and it was the best thing to just be like, hey, the 27 cucumbers Lucy eats a day can actually just be from our garden. And it taught the kids a nice thing. So, like, I'm not a farmer. I can barely keep a succulent alive. But you know what? Trying to at least, like, start that lesson has been, I feel like we went away from that for a long time. Like, growing up, that was not a thing my parents focused on. I don't know.
Neither did we.
So I'm desperately trying, although it's very much out of my wheelhouse, to be like, hey, lettuce comes from the ground,
It comes from the ground and from people, not the grocery store.
Yes. So anyway.
The share of Americans who farm was at its peak in 1790 at 9 and 10. It's down to that 2 in 100. A farm went from feeding one person per farmer in 1790 to 183 today. The number of American farms peaked in 1935.
Okay.
6.81 million.
Whoa.
And now we're down to that 1.88 million.
Wait, right after electricity?
Yep, right after electricity. That consolidation started. You didn't need as many. More people could be more productive.
Yep.
That farm in 1935 was 155 acres. Now it's 466. The output of a farm has tripled since 1948, and the labor going into it's fallen 76%.
Oh. I would say more than tripled, to be honest. I would have expected.
The corn yield went from 40 bushels an acre to 179 per day. That's, 5 times jump in 80, 100 years, whatever.
Good math.
And I just think this is an interesting thought and discussion because there are those two sides of agriculture. We talked about it in Virginia in 1850. We talked about it today. We went from basically needing everybody to be on the land to feed themselves to almost no one in just 7 generations.
Yeah. And I'm so curious to hear people's input about that. Are we mad about that, or do you think it opens opportunity?
One American farm can feed an entire town's worth of people. That was unthinkable in 1790. Food's dramatically cheap. That's how we're able to afford so much of the American lifestyle. In Europe, food's expensive, but healthcare is cheap. In America, healthcare is expensive and food's cheap. It's all because...
Can I swap?
Yes, it's all because of the American farmer. And so the point of this episode was just to like lay that out there and show that it's changed, and maybe we want to romanticize that small farm, but it wasn't all good.
Right.
You know, you were burning down trees to fertilize your corn.
I'm still
and now
amazed at that.
We don't have carbon sequestration. The lady folks were left alone on their farm. No radio, no telephone, you know, no car. They were just there like, hey, take care of the kids. Hopefully you don't die.
I mean, I wasn't going to go there, but I'm going to go there now. Ballerina farm, okay? Something like ballerina farm, if you don't know what that is, would be the original trad wife. She has now turned what became a trendy homesteading lifestyle. So I don't know when. I should have looked up when she started. But like taking homesteading, which is really just like the original farming, right? Like living off the land, living in a very secluded kind of livelihood. You live off the land as completely as you can. And that's now become like trendy again. And for her, she's so far from the original idea of it, but like that's where it started. And there's this whole movement of trad wives doing exactly what you said. Like, oh, I'm just going to wear this like apron dress and live on the farm all day, like by choice now. So I think it's such an interesting culture study of where we've come now as a society.
And I think that's great if that's a choice you want to make.
But it's just $1 billion business.
There is such a safety net now of if you fail,
yeah,
you still have electricity. You still have an ambulance that can come get you. You still have the internet that you're posting all over to
make your money.
You.
Yeah, probably not billion, but multi-million.
You have all of this backstop where you did in the past. And I think it's, you know, we talked about the 30s. You have people starting to leave the farm. And that's, people want to do that because it's not an easy life. It's something that, like you said, people want to go get education, do different opportunities. And the progress has allowed people to have other opportunities.
Which I think is great. But again, like I understand how some people can see technology as taking these humans' lives or humans' jobs. But I'm like, but it did allow them to go do like, again, I think of my friends that grew up on farms and that they didn't have a choice. And they were like, well, I can't play this sport because we have to milk the cows. I can't do this because, you know, and that's the way my frame of reference was hearing what they couldn't do because of the schedule of the cows, quite frankly. And this was, I don't know, when was I in high school? In the 2000s, right? Like, I was like, when was
century.
But still, like, it was still humans needed to be there to help milk the cows. It was machines, but like you had to put them, yeah, like I helped do that, you know.
Like Ron today and his brother Frank and Frank's kids, they, you know,
that's
still
what they do. Yeah. So
third Ron mentioned.
Ooh, 3 in 1 episode. So anyway, it is just like, it's not taking everyone's job, but those kids, I'm guessing, would have liked a different opportunity had they been given that.
And now you got people going back to the farm. You have the ballerina farm people.
And a million others like
choices are important and diversity is important. You have, if you want to buy a cheap tomato because you don't really care what a tomato tastes like, you just want it on your BLT, you can. There's huge American farmers that make super safe food that do it cheap, and you can have that. But if you want the world's best tomato that's an heirloom, organic, grown by someone right down the road, you can do that too. Yeah. And we now have the technology. We have these tools to do it. And I just think it's amazing. I don't say it's good or bad. I just think it's amazing.
It is interesting. You made this interesting.
Yes.
Mostly it was the fake families.
So I was going to ask, what was the most interesting thing you learned today, and what was the most boring thing you learned today?
Well, I don't think anyone will be surprised that the most interesting thing to me is that these farmers, which family? I don't even, the McKees maybe, figured out how to burn trees to fertilize their soil. Like, I am constantly amazed because it is so out of my wheelhouse. How innovative that like you figured that out somehow, you paid attention and realized this bark comes off, we burn the tree, it fertilizes the soil, you know.
Farmers have always been some of the biggest innovators because mother's the necessity of all invention. I have a acquaintance who's an agronomist, left his corporate job, and now he does drone agronomy. So he does spraying for weeds via drone.
Crazy.
He does fertilizing via drone. He surveys farmers' fields for them via drone. He's got this huge rig and flies these drones.
Yeah.
It's more precise. It's more targeted. It's, in the end, cheaper because you're not overspraying. It's better for the environment. It's crazy. This guy, Grant in East Troy, who's a friend of Ron, he has these they're robots that go through the farm fields and laser weeds. So you don't have to spray anything.
You don't come to my house?
Yes. So because he's all organic. He grows a lot of grains for distilleries and things.
Okay, that's cool.
And this robot goes through the rows and just zoop, zoop, zoop.
Come on.
No pesticides, no nothing. And you don't need to have someone going through the fields picking them out.
Do you think that those robots will become available for households?
I hope so.
Because I would like one, please.
I, for one, welcome our robot overlords.
I take that back. That was the most interesting part. Give me a robot that zaps my weeds, please.
American farming is going to continue to evolve. It's going to continue. We have this faith in the American farmer that they can keep producing more with less land, because we take farmland for
granted, big time.
Data centers now. Again, I welcome our robot overlords.
Like, we were dancing around that topic for a while.
For data centers, for housing, which people need somewhere to live, and it shouldn't be super expensive. But we can do it because we just think, well, farmers have always figured it out. We take it for granted.
And I think we should also mention how, let's talk about pizza on the farm. So, I would say farmers are being innovative with how else can we make money? How else can we get people to understand how important our industry is. So if you're not local, there is a event called Pizza on the Farm. So it welcomes people to the farm. They make pizza using ingredients from the farm and other local
Ron
purveyors.
makes that cheese.
Thanks, Ron. 5 times. But it gets people again, I have had friends come from the city, any city, to this event, and you can just you can just walk in the farmland and see the animals, and you can jump on hay bales, things that we take for granted. My cousin that lives in New York was amazed. They just, so opening your farm up for an event and experience of some sort is really helpful in educating people as well. And another way to make money.
Way to go, farmers. You guys are great. Thanks for feeding everybody.
We love you.
Here's a toast of switchel.
So good. This is so good.
It is, and it's healthy.
I mean, yeah, it's healthy and refreshing.
Do you know what you can add to it that was traditional?
Vodka?
Rum.
Oh.
Sneak peek into next week.
Oh, God. I haven't had a lot of rum since Jimmy Buffett days.
Well, we're going to have good rum. Don't worry about that. And rum is also very tied to the American farmer. I mean, all of this is very tied. We talked about the cheese curds. We talked about the hot dogs and hamburgers. We talked about pork. This is all American farmers. Thank you for what you do, American farmers.
Nice segues. We appreciate you listening to all these episodes and staying tuned for our next one. That sounds like it's going to be about rum.
Rum. I think it's going to be rum. We have to talk about the schedule a little bit, but we'll take that offline.
Okay.
We'll circle back.
I was just...
Make sure we find some alignment.
Best practices.
Yeah,
okay.
Best practices probably aren't to talk about your schedule on your podcast to the people
I think that we always go off trail at the trail off on the end here. Our friend Jill left a comment about our waving flags. She didn't like our waving flags. Maybe at the end we get a little loose with our outline. So we'll wrap it up now.
If you want to read all of these stories in a little bit more detail, read the dispatch, or I have the read in the same feed where I read all of it if you prefer the audiobook format and you like my voice. If you hate my voice, probably just read it.
Probably don't, yeah.
Probably sorry, but Bridget's voice is great. So
yeah, you want me to start reading it?
Share this with your friends, please. I think we've gotten so many positive comments. It's been really nice.
And had some really good discussions.
Yeah, people enjoying the stories, and it's been fun. So
thanks for listening.
Ta-ta!